Welcome to the Mental Playbook. I'm your host, Malia Sophia Patel, and today I'm here with a very special guest, Hall of Famer Dermontti Dawson, a former Steelers center and long snapper. Welcome, Monty. How are you?
Malia, thank you very much, and thanks for having me on the show.
I'm so glad to have you here today. Let's get started. So, growing up, I want to know what sparked your interest in football.
Actually, my football ambition didn't start until high school.
Oh, really?
I was always playing sports with all my buddies and, in the park. So I first started off playing baseball was my
Okay.
first love. And then I played Pee Wee football for 1 year. And then I was in track and field from elementary, middle school to high school. And then my junior year in high school, I had one of my coaches see me coming out of a chemistry class, and he put his arms around me and said, "Son, where have you been all my life?" And but I've been playing sports for a long period of time, but football came later, my junior year in high school. That's when I first tried out. So, but
Okay.
I've always had an interest in sports.
Yeah. So, what made you choose football over the sports?
When I was, considering scholarship offers to different universities, um, I thought about it. I said, well, if you go to the Olympics, I wanted to go to the Olympics.
Wow.
But I said, okay, if you can make some money playing football, professional football, why not try football? So I chose to offer a scholarship, a football offer, as opposed to a track offer, scholarship to college. And lo and behold, next thing you know, I'm drafted in the second round to the Steelers in
Yes.
1988 draft.
Yeah, that's amazing. Second round pick. What was it like to get drafted by the Pittsburgh Steelers?
Oh, hey, I mean that's a dream of any college player,
Yeah.
to be drafted. But for me, I was really surprised because I was an undersized guard. I was strong and fast, but undersized. But you can always gain weight. But I was strong. I was one of the fastest linemen at the combine. So speed and strength. Sometimes you play much larger than what you actually are. Yeah, so I was really surprised that those guys took me to the second round, but I won't complain.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. So, you started off as guard. During your second season, you took over the center position from Mike Webster, right? A Hall of Famer
Yes,
and legendary player. How did you handle that pressure taking over in his shoes?
for a legend. Yeah, Mike was a legend in Pittsburgh at that time, and Mike was going into his 15th year, my rookie year.
Wow.
But the thing was, when Chuck Noll came to me and said, "Look, I think I'm gonna put you at center," because originally they had drafted Chuck Lanza from Notre Dame
Mm,
to replace Mike, but they thought I would be a better fit, so they wanted myself and Chuck Lanza to fight it out, for the position. And so I won the position, but then of course speculation comes. Okay, well, how are you going to replace this legendary player?
yeah.
And I said, hey, just give me time to learn the position, and then we just kind of go from there. So um, I really didn't feel a whole lot of pressure to. I mean, there's some pressure, to live up to Mike's standards,
Right.
but you can only do what you can do. Everybody's different, so you just try to accept it and just play your best, and then things happen.
Yeah. So going into the topic of mental wellness, how has your mental well-being impacted your ability to perform and play?
Well, for me, my mental ability, I'm a very positive person, and I really don't get down a lot. So I think for me, because of my personality, you know, it helped me excel because I'm very competitive and I don't like to be beat. So I kind of use that as motivation, and and I'm confident in my abilities as well. And I think you have to be confident in your abilities.
Right.
And what you think, sometimes when you think negative thoughts, negative things happen in your life.
Mm.
But I think the more positive you are, the more positive things happen in your life. So I think my mental state was always been a more positive than negative, and it kind of shows in everything that I do.
Yeah, I think it's great to have a positive mindset.
Yes.
Yeah. So during your rookie season, I know you had a knee injury. I was wondering how you prioritize and balance your mental health alongside your physical well-being.
Well, I think both of them coincide, because I mean, if you don't have a positive, mental well-being, of course, the physical part of it is going to be affected, in performance, uh, in general. I think no matter what you do, you just have to be positive about everything that you do, because I mean, your mental uh, health dictates your physical health as well.
Right. So can you share what your mental playbook was throughout your career and what helped you keep a positive mindset?
I think just my personality.
Yeah.
I am a very positive person. I don't get down a whole lot. And for me, it's just I don't know, it's just very easy for me, to stay positive. And so my mental health reflects my physical health,
Hmm.
and I'm a very healthy person, even though I've had a few surgeries, and that was because of football. But overall, I think my mental health is pretty strong.
That's great. How did you think your mental playbook would change if you're playing today? Because a lot has changed, right, since back then, and even for other athletes, I think it's different now, especially with social media involved. I want to also know your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think the today's players, deal with a lot more because, everything is instantaneously. And with social media, I think social media can be used for good, but it can also be used for bad. And I think now a lot of guys have to deal with more mental problems than, we did back in the day because of just social media.
Yeah.
Because everything is instantaneous, and you can mess up your whole career by just saying the wrong thing and somebody filming it, and next thing you know, everybody's going to judge you from that one mistake.
Right. So
Yeah,
do you think looking at social media before a game impacts an athlete's performance?
I think it does. Yeah, because I mean, you once you get a negative thought in your head, sometimes, if you're not confident in yourself, and I think it will impact, or it does impact, players. I would say stay off the social media platforms before a game, because people are going to say things because they know they want to get in your head, and they know that people read it, because if you're posting on physical, I mean, on social media, they know that you're going to read some of the comments.
Mhm.
So I wouldn't put myself out there to even set myself up for failure by reading something negative before a game. And so I think a lot of athletes now deal with so much more than we did, because we didn't have social media at that time. It was just a newspaper or the news. So we didn't have access to that. So most guys were reading the newspapers.
Yeah. Okay. So obviously there were losses through your career. I want to know, with your positive mindset, also, how did you cope with the loss? How did your team cope with the loss and also learn from it?
Well, I think you learn lessons, from any kind of loss, whether it be in death or a game. First, I think you just have to acknowledge that, okay, acknowledgement of the loss is one thing. And then you just kind of you have to deal with it. It's just you have to accept the feelings that are associated with that loss, whether it be in death or a game or anything, and then try to move on. And sometimes we question, could we have done something different? And we
Right.
always do that. We do evaluate ourselves as athletes and as a team as a whole. um, so we do that. But I think you just have to reevaluate some of what you're doing, and then after that, just try to move on with life, because things will get better.
Right. So with the 13 season career, what was it like staying on the same team and organization for your whole career?
Well, for me, that was very important, because at that time, a lot of guys with free agency
Yeah.
were moving back and forth to different teams for more money. But me, I'd had success with Pittsburgh, and of course, they wanted to re-sign me, but I still had offers from other teams. But I wanted to be a one-player guy. I
Hmm.
didn't want to move around. I wanted to be known to be a Pittsburgh Steeler.
You were loyal. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. My loyalty to the team was paramount to me. And that was very important. And I think it was very important for the Steelers organization as well, because I'd already been, taking over after Mike, and I was starting to have some success in my career. And I did not want to move, my family. That was important, keeping those guys and making it stable for them.
Mhm.
And yeah, I just wanted to stay, be a Pittsburgh Steeler my whole career.
Yeah, I love that. Being on a team, were there any hardships?
Hardships in how? In
You
what
know,
way?
between like players, were there any struggles or challenges? Was there any pressure from your team members, teammates?
No, not really. I mean, most of the teammates, we support one another, and of course, you're going to have guys who don't get along with one another every
Yeah.
once in a while. But uh, you know, we were a pretty cohesive team, and I've got a lot of good friends that I played with throughout the years, and we all support one another because
Yeah.
you want to see your teammate have success as well. Because
Yeah.
if each individual has success, of course, that's going to bring success to the team because
Hmm.
we're all doing our job and we're doing it at a high level.
Right. So, what mental grit do you think a player needs to handle adversity in a game?
Well, I think you always face some adversity in a game, but you just have to be confident in your abilities and yourself. Know that you've been here before, and just go out and perform. It's not really hard, and you are going to face adversities because you're going to have a player who may be a little stronger than you, a little faster, but you've been there before, you put in the work. So just be confident in your abilities and go out there. You may make a mistake, but don't dwell on it. That's the thing that I think that guys kind of go in the tank, as I call it, when they dwell on a mistake that they made. You got to have a short-term memory. You got to have a short memory in athletics because, you're only as good as your last play. So I think just a short memory is a key for success in any kind of business or sport.
Yeah, nice. So you got to play in the Super Bowl. That's amazing. Did you feel any more pressure there from than playing in a regular
A
game?
regular season game, yeah. I tell you what, Super Bowl is yeah. We played in Super Bowl 30 against Dallas, and yeah, you always feel a little pressure, because you got so much media. It's the biggest show uh, on earth,
Yeah,
and with all the media hype and everything else, of course you're going to have all the different storylines, that they want to create for the game. But yeah, there's a little pressure, and I tell you a funny story. When we played Dallas in Super Bowl 30,
hmm.
I think some of the Dallas players at that time were wearing like armor all on their jerseys, so it makes your hands really slick. And me as a center, I had small hands, so I'm trying to. I wore gloves to get a grip on the ball, and I kept telling the ref, I said, "Hey, ref," I said, "I think these guys have something on their jerseys because my hands are slick as glass." So I had to take my gloves off, and of course, we go into shotgun snap, and Neil O'Donnell was back, wanting to snap, so he goes through the cadence. I had my hand on the ball, and the ball just slips out of my hand and rolls back to Neil. He picks it up. Luckily, he got sacked and didn't lose the ball.
Yeah,
But that happened. Or I'm sorry, I threw it over his head in the Super Bowl. He ran back and recovered the ball because my hands were so slick. I
yeah,
couldn't grip the ball. So I had to roll my wrist under the ball and hike it to Neil, and it flew over his head. So, true story in Super Bowl 30, most important game of my life. But
yeah,
like I said, you got to have a short memory, or selective memory,
yeah.
and you
Don't
just
let
keep
it
on
affect.
going.
Right. Keep that positive mindset, right?
Yeah, positive mindset.
Yeah. So, what resources or support systems have you used when faced with adversity, or even just like playing in the Super Bowl with that type of pressure?
I mean, you have to have a support group, and my family is a strong support group for me. My wife, my kids, and even sometimes, even confiding in players and stuff. Um, and I think also you have to practice self-care when it comes to your mental and physical
Yeah.
being, to make sure that you're all together. And then also, if you have problems and you struggle, seek professional help. And I've done that before. I've talked to sports psychologists, and I've done that even in my grown-up years, even after football.
Yeah.
Because when I have too many things going on, sometimes you feel the pressure because you have a lot of people coming in and requesting things from you. So, sometimes you try to prioritize things and okay, what's important to me and what's not important to me. And for me, I used to be a yes man. I didn't want to really disappoint anybody,
Mm.
but I got to the point now where I'm selective and I don't have a problem saying no to people. And so yeah, that's been the biggest thing for me, that's helped me kind of balance the two.
Yeah. And what ways of self-care did you use?
Well, just physical activity for me. Walking my dogs, going for a hike, uh, go play golf, drop everything. I don't, it's not gonna. It can wait for another time. You just have to prioritize, because you got to prioritize your mental well-being along with your physical well-being. So
Exactly.
sometimes I just drop it all and
Yeah.
I just say, okay, I'll pick it up, later, or I won't read an email or a text, unless it's from my kids or my wife.
Mhm.
But anybody else, you don't matter.
Yeah, and I think going outside really helps, your well-being. I mean, it's something I
It
say.
does. It really does. I tell you what, I feel so much better when I walk or just take the dogs for a walk or hike, or just some kind of physical activity, go work out, ride
Yeah,
my bike. Sometimes, I'm just quiet and I read a book.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, Even just being in the sun, it's so nice.
I know. I know. It's great.
Yeah. Okay, so transitioning to life after football, how did you manage that transition from professional football, to life after retirement?
Well, before I retired, I had a chain of laundromats. I had 5 laundromats. I had three in Kentucky, two in Indiana, and they were called B&B Coin Laundries after my son and my daughter, Brandon and Brianna.
Mhm.
And so my brother was managing the stores for me while I was playing. So after I retired, I had something to kind of transition into. And after I retired in 2000, after the 2000 season, in 2006, I ended up selling those stores and got into commercial development with one of my neighbors. And I
Okay.
worked in commercial development until the downturn of the economy in 2008, 2009. And yeah, I tell you what, it was a good time making that transition, and I had fun doing it. But then I got into coaching, trying to do some coaching clinics. So
Mhm.
I was with the Steelers just for a uh, training camp. And then I coached 1 year in Cincinnati. And then after I coached in Cincinnati in 2010, 2011, I moved to San Diego. So yeah, so I do quite a few things. I got my hands in a few things. I really don't have a job that I have to go to 7 days a week or 5 days a week. So yeah, I do pretty much a lot of things. And we
Yeah.
have a scouting service now that we use that we created called All Pro Scouting. So we rank high school students coming out of high school from 5 star to 1 star. And so we do evaluations. We have a company that does all the editing of the film called Quick Cut,
Mhm.
and so we can speed through a game, pretty rapidly. And so everything's kind of pre-populated on the site itself. We just
Nice.
do the summations and do the grading and submit it electronically. So uh, I stay pretty busy with that right now, currently.
That's very cool. So what advice would you give to current players about managing their mental health during and even after their careers?
I would say that as we grow older and exit the game, and even during the game, us, you still have to have a support system.
Yeah.
Whether that be your parents, a psychologist, or a therapist. Um, yeah, I think you still have to pay attention to both the physical and the mental aspect of your life overall. And like I said, whether that be your family, a therapist, Um, it's important. It is very important.
Right. If you could tell your younger self or even other young athletes one thing to help prepare for the rigor of the sports world right now, what would it be?
Just make sure that you put in the work, you put in the time, and you take time to learn your craft, whatever it may be. Study because we don't know, things about everything, but sometimes you got to put in the work, you got to put in the school work, you got to put in the physical aspect of it, the physical work, and just make sure you're prepared, highly prepared for whatever you may transition into or go into.
Right. During your career, did you have any other interests outside of football?
Um, well, I did like woodworking. That was one thing that yeah, when I was in high school, I took a shop class and I won some national awards for some of my work, my tables and
Wow.
some chairs. Yeah, in woodworking. And even to this day, my next door neighbor has a shop in his garage, and sometimes I'll go over there and kind of hang with him and work on woodwork and stuff. He just put up some new kind of Oriental looking like an Asian type fence.
Wow.
It's got a great look to it with the metal and the wood, all the different mediums together. And so yeah, I was into woodworking at one point.
That's
But
awesome.
yeah, yeah, I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
I enjoy working with my hands, so I'm always doing stuff around the house and making repairs. So yeah, that's one thing that I like to do.
Yeah. So how did that help you maintain a balanced life?
Well, I think anybody who owns a home needs to be able to do something, whether it's you need to have a general knowledge about everything,
Hmm.
whether it be electrical, being an electrician or a plumber. I like to fiddle with things around. Uh, my wife calls me MacGyver. She said, you find a way to fix things or to do things, and I said, you know what? I've done that all my life. And, even my brother used to say, hey, let Monty do it. Because I was always the one who was, fixing things.
The
So
fixer. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
A fixer with a positive mindset.
Yes, indeed. You have to
So,
have it.
yeah, you're right. Looking back, what do you consider your greatest achievement on and off the field?
I think my greatest achievement off the field is being a dad,
Yeah.
my kids. Um, in life, just that I'm a good person. I'm a
Yeah.
good person. I treat people the right way. I'm kind to people, and I'll talk to anybody.
Yeah. I like that. What legacy do you hope to leave behind, particularly regarding mental health awareness in sports?
What legacy would I like to leave behind?
Or what legacy do you leave behind?
That I'm just a good, decent person, and I want to be remembered for me as a person and not as a football player.
Hmm.
How I treat people and, how kind I am to people. And I just want to be known as a good person, a good human being.
Yeah. So, in your opinion, what are the most effective ways to promote mental wellness and mental health awareness and education within sports teams and organizations?
Well, this is a great podcast to, get that out there. Having athletes talk about some of the things, the battles they have had, whether
Yeah,
it be mental health or physical health, and be spokespeople and don't be ashamed to tell people that you needed help.
yeah,
I think that's important, whether it be, and most of the organizations now, if you do have, mental health issues, they do try to help you. It's not like the days of old because mental health is a big issue nowadays. And so I think a lot of teams now are becoming more aware of it and offering services to players, which they should,
hmm,
because it's such a mental game and physical game, or just in the workplace, it's the same thing. It's mental and physical. So I think you have to have those resources available to people to seek help.
yeah. And Yeah, that's exactly what I want to do with this podcast. Like, I'm glad to have you here. And I think mental health has been a bigger issue, even more today than back then. So I really want to promote, sports and wellness because there are
Yes.
people, there are athletes, even if they're not struggling with mental health, they might have some challenges, mental challenges that could
Mhm.
get in the way performing in sports. Um,
Yeah.
so my last question for you, this is just a general question. There's no right answer, but I'm curious to know your thoughts. So the question is, what matters most to you, the destination, the journey, or the company?
What matters to me?
Yeah, most to you.
The journey.
Why is that?
Well, because I mean, hey, we all have these different segments of our lives, portions of our lives. The as me as a professional athlete, me as a dad, me as a husband now, and so I think that progression is important to me, and I want to make sure that I'm here taking good care of my mental health and physical health to make sure that I'm here for my wife and kids for the future.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Monty, for joining me today on the Mental Playbook. To my listeners, mind strong, game on. Bye.
And thank you for having me on the show. It's
Of
been a
course.
pleasure.